Garrett again. A nice bright morning, and thought it would be a good time to go ahead and get started on a little bit of more building on the new project. For those that weren't here yesterday, I've just decided to start a new housing project for my alt. Originally I was going to do something for my husband's character, but he's kind of still undecided about theme, and I do want to give him the opportunity to kind of play around with the housing system on his own to see if he feels like it's something he really wants to get into. You know, it may be something that we do a collaborative work, or if he just gets kind of fed up with it, doesn't have the patience for it, then maybe I'll build him something later. But for the time being, he's able to put down fab kits as he comes across them, just to try them out and see what they look like and how it works, and just kind of, you know, experiment on his own until I don't want to influence him too much on that. So to kind of pass the time, so to speak, until my next formal project, I'm just using an alt as kind of a means to play around with different ideas. I did a lot of Googling on images of homes and stuff that I thought I might like to go with. I didn't want anything too modern looking, but I also didn't want to go too, you know, dilapidated and rustic or whatever. But I wanted to keep it simple. So I've found several references that I'm using. So you'll see me shuffling papers and stuff as I move them around, because I've got printouts of images that I'm using, you know, kind of like how I want to do the windows and things like that. But yesterday we spent, feels like a long time for just a little bit of work, but I think it was around 2 hours or so, laying out the plans. Basically, I wanted to use this kind of like my blueprint of where I want things. The narrow boards, the ones that have been flipped on their side, represent doorways and windows, just to kind of help me, guide me along as I build. So it took us, you know, a good amount of time yesterday laying that all out, because I would tweak it here and there and I'll change it. In fact, I noticed I want to do this a little different, and of course I promised I wouldn't change anything until I was back on the air. So I'm going to go ahead and switch this around if it'll let me here. But yeah, I noticed this yesterday and I thought, well, I think I want it, because this is like kind of like an efficiency apartment kind of thing. It's very compact. It's just for one individual. I mean, I don't have guild gatherings or anything on here. It's just for my character, and just kind of wanted something that I think would work for her. She doesn't have any kind of backstory or anything, so it's not anything very specific. I'm just kind of giving her something and playing around with the idea of building everything from scratch. I had originally planned to build everything just using 2x4s, the wooden 2x4s, but I got to calculating it up yesterday, you know, based on the heights that I wanted for the rooms. I just think it's going to be impractical to build it like that, so I'm going to have to resort to using walls, well, floors as walls, because the actual wall items have that little lip on them. Oh, that was my phone telling me it's about to run out of battery here. Let me just plug that up before it goes poof. But now I forgot what I was saying. Anyway, the wall items, they have that little lip that kind of throws off if you're trying to put two walls like top and bottom. If you need to extend it further up, then you have that extra lip to play with, and maybe it's not always good to have it turned the other way. Anyway, I prefer to work with the floors as walls, and since I had already planned on trying to use 2x4s as that, I figured the exile floors would be the best. I know a friend of mine has already built a house for his character using similar walls and not exactly a similar setup, but so hopefully it doesn't feel like, maybe it's like a nod to him as far as inspiring me to build an alt plot that's livable. As for, she's been homeless for a while now, so anyway, I guess we'll get started on that. I already bought some of the floors that I'll need, so we'll just plop these out here. Oops. Yeah, I was a little worried I wasn't going to stream today because I woke up like at 2:30 this morning feeling very sick to my stomach and everything, and I thought, oh, I've come down with a bug or something, but thankfully I was able to get back to sleep and feel much better now, so I don't see any problems arising from that. Now, what I'm going to do is lay out the floor and then see where we go from there. What I'm looking at is how can I put these blocks in so that I use the fewest pieces possible. Because as always, the fewer the better. Because the fewer pieces I have to use to actually build the house, the more I can use in doing the detail work, decorating it up. And I really want to do that nicely. So what I'm doing here is I'm just sizing. I'd like the porch area to be separate as far as the pieces. I'm gonna see if I can make that out of 3 pieces all the way across. You know, like with anything, even if you have a specific plan that you might be following, just based on how pieces are built here, you're not going to be able to do it exact like it. Get the height on here so that they're matchy. What is that? There we go. Okay, now it looks like the middle piece is going to be on the narrow side, so I'm going to put it in as the same. But we're going to just squeeze it in like that. That way the division is kind of equal between the two, but I think I want it on the bottom rather than having those solid edges being here. Okay, so that's the porch, and then let's see. I think if I make one big piece, that might be a little awkward. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to see about just using the same size that I've got here and block it in this way, I think. It probably isn't going to work that way, but we're going to give it a try anyway. I really want to try and keep the floor, the panel size as uniform as possible. Now, one thing I could consider is, are all of the floor elements the same? Because I know the decking is going to be this way, and I think the bedroom floor would be, but maybe the bathroom and the kitchen will be different. So that's also something. Using a different flooring for that. Again, I'm just making sure it's about the same height as the ones for the porch. I don't know why that goes to 119. And I'm going to check the orientation this way. Ugh. 42. There we go. Yeah, I think I'm lucky that it's just about right for 2 across. So that's fortunate. That keeps it nice and smooth, and I'm definitely gonna use the wood for the bedroom floor. I'm still thinking about what I might want to use for the kitchen and bathroom. Okay, so this will be the same. It'll have that narrower part in the middle. I'm gonna check this 463. Move this. So probably gonna go to 119 again. Yep. I don't know why it does that. I suspect it has something to do with the bunker house being just kind of square. I guess I'll leave it at 127 because I can't get it to cooperate. I'm checking the position here. It's 392. Let's see if this one works. Fine. Kind of wonky that way. I don't know what causes it to do that. Okay. This one, I definitely, I guess, below that. Let's see. I think this was 392 or something. Let me see. Yeah. doesn't want to work with me. Now again, I'm still undecided on if I want to leave the house on the ground level or if I'm going to elevate it. I'm just not sure yet. So for now, we'll just kind of, I'll probably elevate it and then we'll see. First, we're just going to take care of the floor. Oh, for crying out loud. No, it's not doing it that way. Something like so. Okay, so that's the porch and the bedroom. So the kitchen and the bathroom, what to use for those. I imagine the bathroom would probably be best with either the orange floor or tiles. Just not quite sure. Maybe those for the kitchen would work okay. Let's try the tiles for we'll probably need 1, 2. We'll put out 4. Probably need more than that, but we'll see. Now, if I make them the same size, the thing I'm looking at is the size of the tile. If I want it to be that big. I'm not sure. I wish that up to the right. I'm sure it is, but it looks like it isn't because this has that little bit of a loop thing going. Let's see. Now, either I use 2, because I don't think that's going to be wide enough at that size for this. Yeah, it's going to be just a little off. So either I use 2 to do that, or I just use this one and size it up. Better match. Sizes there. It's just the tiles, the sizes will be different. something like that. Don't want to bring it up too much because then and it shows all the way across the top. I just want it to be just right. Okay, maybe a little lower so this isn't such a big gap. No, I think that'd be too. So we may just have to leave it at right about there. And just hope that that doesn't bug me too much. Gappy. I could probably raise these up, but then it would be kind of an odd lip in the room-to-room transition. So we'll see. So it didn't look like I needed that one, but that's supposedly the bathroom. And then need a couple pieces for the kitchen. So do I go with the granite style? The orange. Let's go with the granite. I can always change it later if I decide I don't like it. The beauty of a lot of this, I'm going to switch it out. If you don't like it, okay, I'll check for its alignment here. And 53 off. That's cool. Okay, so there we have the floors. So what I'm going to do is, since the floors are basically covering up my plan there, we'll just link these all together. A lot of clicking. And then we'll raise these up. Now, to determine the height of how high I want this, the idea is there's going to be like a staircase here, so I'm going to decide what kind of stairs I'm going to use. I use the regular staircase or the deck staircase. So we're going to try the look of both. And see just, you know, how it looks. Because clearly this one's longer than the other one. If I just use the one, maybe I'd end up having to have two if I want it higher up. We'll just use this one and leave it at one piece. what we'll do is I almost had that right about where I needed it. Okay, so that might be okay, I guess. Something along those lines might be an alright height. Yeah, I think we'll use the one staircase so I don't have to use that rope. And I like that this is plenty of space to run around in without getting like locked up underneath it, because if I decide to leave this exposed and accessible, then there won't be any problem with someone getting in there. Went to some homes where they have like a basement kind of underneath their foundation for their house, and you get stuck under there because there's like not enough space. Okay, so there's that. So now we have to look at adding in the walls. So I'm going to still be using this floor plan as my guide in a lot of ways. So because I know I'm going to be using exile floors, which is going to create a bunch, and those are not here to use. Trick will be trying to keep as much of the sizing as uniform as possible. I know there's going to be, like, especially around the windows, pieces that will be smaller than the main parts of the walls, but I want to try and keep it as close as I can. Okay, so for instance, let's just start here on the end. And we're going to want to keep everything as square as possible and try and get things lined up like we want. Again, as close as possible, because the closer we are in that, the better chance, I guess, that it will work out evenly. So that you don't have like gaps where you don't want them and things like that. Trying to decide, do I want that lip there? Is that going to bother me that there's a lip there? I don't know. Do I want that to come down the side there? I don't. We'll leave it like that. And let's see. Another one here. Never copies. Okay, so I'm going to check this here, make sure, because this looks like it's offset a bit, but that's probably due to the pasting. I got to make sure it matches. Okay, there's that. So now we have the window to insert. And the way we'll do that is, I think I can get away with, let's see, I think this was at full. We'll try the next pair at half of that. But the thing I'm going to be looking at is, this is supposed to be a window that you can see out of, and it's not like, I want it so that if my Orin is standing at the window, that they're not like having to hop up to look outside it. So if I put it at that height, let's see, it's a little too high, I think. So put that down another, and I'm keeping it kind of as even as I can as far as how it's reduced. I think that'll be good. So it's going to take several of these pieces just to line the bottom here the way I want. But I like the height here from floor to ceiling. I think that feels comfortable. You know, if I happen to have hanging lights or something, that's not going to feel like it's just kind of got a little bitty hanging bit. Not that I'm going to use like chandeliers or anything in here, but so you can see what I mean about the scale of the flooring, how it can change the look of it, because these boards are wider than these here. But hopefully that if I just keep things as uniform as I can, that won't deter too much from the overall design of it. I guess it remains to be seen. We'll see. We're going to copy this one. What I'm going to do is, rather than just go down the line, I'm going to work from side to side to side and bring it, because I don't think it's going to be, I don't think I'm going to be lucky enough to have it be even. An even number of tiles there. So again, I'm checking position here. Close. See if this works. This doesn't want to do that, does it? And again, I'm checking for gaps, you know, if it's noticeable that there's a gap there. Kind of looks like it, so. One more. So as I suspected, it's going to come up narrow here, kind of like for the flooring. So we'll just fit this in like so. And then I'm gonna have to look at it from here because I want to make this an even spacing as well, because you know you're gonna see it from the other side possibly. There may be kitchen cabinetry that's all around here, so you don't actually see it, but still gotta build it nice. You don't want to be trashy about it. So now, do I want the line to be showing out here, or do I want it to be this way? I think this way looks better. So again, I'm just kind of eyeballing the distance. There you go. There's the bottom part of where the window will go. Now I need to duplicate this up here. Too bad there isn't a duplicate function, but oh well. We'll make do. And drag this up. And now straight across again. And this one I'll be checking the position this way, just so that I make sure that these all are the same. 46, and we're good. Okay, so need some more floors. How do I do so many plots, alts? I don't know, I just have a lot of time on my hands, Pawn. That's all I can say. I guess that's the advantages of being a housewife. You know, I do my laundry and dishes and stuff, and then rather than sitting down and watching soaps or something, I come up here and play around on the computer. Depending on the project, if it's a small project like for the custom built decor challenge, that could take, you know, a matter of days. Something like this, depending on how detailed I get, it could go from several weeks to a month or more. Some of my plots, just based on because I had to take time to gather up all of the materials that I wanted. You know, I couldn't get everything all at once. Sometimes it can, you know, span out, you know, several months, like 3 or 4. But if I have everything on at hand and I have a good idea, I know the alt. I think this one that I'm on the plot of, I think she's like 22 or so. And then I have, I think, either a 19 or a 20 different one for the CBDC stuff. And then my Dominion alt, he's just 14 right now. Although I'm suspecting I'll probably play around on him a little bit because I'd like to put something on his house as well. So now, as long as it's easier for these alts on Exile side because my main is on here. So she can send over money and decor that she picks up, and then she can come here and just buy off of the vendor however she wants. For my Dominion alt though, since I don't have anyone there that I can actually send money to, you know, from, he's gonna have to actually level up and gather up some money so that I can spend some on his plot. but that's not a priority right now for me. It's just something I know that I will probably eventually do when I have nothing else better to do. For the moment, he's just there to kind of spy on the Dominions and give me an opportunity to see some of the homes that they have that I can showcase. Considering how a lot of my guildmates are with their alts, I'm pretty mild when it comes to how many I have and what all I've done on them. Because there's some, I swear they're alcoholics. They've got like every slot plus maybe an extra. I think some of them even have extra accounts or something, because it seems like they got alts, coming out their ears. And a lot of them are the type where they are really into the roleplay, so they not only have alts that they work actively on questing and gathering equipment and all that kind of stuff, but they have backstories for them. They've got housing setups for them. It's just nuts. A little too much for me. Okay. Glad you can make it though for today's broadcast. Just checking positioning here. That's and this one is at 62. Do you have a lot of alts, Pawn, or is it just the one? Seven. Okay, so there's the top and bottom, or the window. Now to decide later how the window is going to look, if it's going to have divisions in it, or if it's going to be one solid piece of glass. But we'll figure that out later. Right now we're just going to install the walls here. I'm trying to see if that's just a pick of the eye or if that's really got a gap there. Looks gappy, doesn't it, with the light coming through? Yeah, I think that'll work okay. Kind of like a trailer house, almost. Long and weird. Okay, so now we'll start working on the other side. And we'll just work our way around. And again, I keep referencing the plans down here as far as sizing goes, how wide the walls should be and all of that kind of thing. Yeah, I think I'll get away with using this half of their size. Oops. So you're on the right little cursor thing. Okay, something like that. And then checking position here. Make sure I get it right. I think I checked the wrong one. It'll come in offset when I copy it. Copy. I think that was 491. Doesn't want to cooperate. Well, something like that. So we'll bring it in a little bit more. And I'm going to bring it up to the right height. Something like so. That ain't going to be right. Because we can't have the little gappy. Maybe I need to bring this up a little bit because I'm pretty sure there's a little bit hidden behind there. Making sure there's not a gap down below. Oh, there's not one in there. Okay, that looks better. And it saves me having to put an extra piece in there just to hide the gap. Okay, so need to leave space for the window and then add the other part of the wall. So apply this one here. Again, I'm going to be checking positioning just so that I get it right, or as close as I can without it going berserko with me. Okay, and one more time for the upper on this side. So, and again, we're going to be putting some smaller bits here. Since we already have the size situated here, we'll just copy that so that it's the same height. It may not be the same width or whatever, but you know, where we can keep things similar, the better. I don't want to have too many sizes of boards around there, so. Here. I don't think we're going to be lucky enough to just be able to use two, but okay. I think I need some more floors. While we're at it, I'll just go ahead and buy another patch. Another fun thing, mostly I'll be using, well, most of my builds I tend to buy, use cheap materials. And I like doing that because I know a lot of people, especially those starting out, are real concerned about the cost of housing. because you'll hear people talk about how they've spent, 50 plat on buying all of these materials because they opt for using like exite floors and walls and massive umbrella trees that cost $7 each and that kind of thing. But hopefully a lot of my work shows that you can stay cheap and still come out with some nice results. You don't have to go expensive. Granted, there are certain themes that really do come off nicely with like the massive umbrella tree that is pretty pricey right now, but it's not a have to. You can find ways around it. Okay, so it looks like there's going to be just a touch of a gap there, so we'll end up having to use the 3. Okay. That back. As much as I change my plots around, even my mains, they tend to not stick around for more than a few months. Because I just, not that I don't like the plots that I build, it's just I get bored with it and I decide, it's time to change it around. I just want to try something different. And up until this point, I didn't really use my alts as an option for building. So I just always changed up I think my main plots probably changed, if I don't count the beta version of her stuff, probably 4 or 5 times now. Others will keep their main and it never changes, which is fine. But for someone like me that changes things a lot, pretty regularly, buying cheap is a really big deal, because if I just spent hundreds of plat all the time, that would lessen the frequency of which I build, because I certainly don't have a regular income that allows for me to just get out of this so I can line it up better. Okay. Something like that. Okay, so that's the second wall and window. And what we'll do is basically we have to mirror what I did here over here. Yeah, it's not quite the effect that I wanted as far as keeping the boards the same width and everything, but since we don't have the option of like, it's not like you can resize these to a specific dimension if I just wanted this narrower and longer but kept the same ratio of the texture. There's just no option for that right now. You have to use it as it comes, and if you size it down, then you're going to have smaller boards, and if you size it up, you're going to have huge boards. So that's just one of the things that I'm sure a lot of people would like a little more freedom to work with, how they see fit. Since the boards here are already on the side, I'm just going to go ahead and start it on the bedroom. This one, I could probably get away with some of these sides again. So we'll just copy. Again, I'm just trying to keep things as square and flush as possible. There's going to be places where it's a little wonky, like right here where the flooring doesn't quite match up. I can see if I can fix that here, but a little iffy. Maybe that'll work. So if that one's at 03, then I need to bring this one up to. Oh, no, we'll bring it up as close as we can get it. Okay, now I need to keep in mind about the window that I have here. That doesn't look like I'm going to get away with using 2 panels on each. It'll be like 1 panel and then probably a set of these, and then the same over here. So first we'll do the big panel on this side, get that squared away. And then double check on the measurement here. Sitting at 487, so we want this one about the same, exact if possible. Looks like it's gonna let me. So we'll just leave this now. It bugged me because it's not. There we go, there we go. Okay. Now we have these size, this size floor right here. And you can see the windows basically in this place, right? So bringing it flush to the edge there. Bringing that right there. And let's see. That was at 09. Okay, so we're good on the height wise because I was just worried that I might have it wrong. Okay, so about like that. And same thing over on this side, which we need more floors. Okay, and my camera's so not. I think that's about right. Check that. $193. Close. And yeah. And again for the top. Just a pain with the copy paste, not copying exactly where it was positioned, because with that offset it really makes you have to go back and check and recheck, and annoying. Okay, so again we're having to do a top and a bottom separator for the window area here. So we'll just copy one of these. Slide that on over. I think that was at 492. Just one mistake. I'll leave it there. A lot of these little like glitchy, like little funky things that you see, that's just more to do with my graphics settings than anything else. Like the if you see some weird stripes on the shadows and stuff, that's again, that's my graphics settings. Not really a reflection on the game, it's just a reflection on my crappy computer. Okay. Again, just lining it up. Okay. Fix this one. 495, so I'm going to put that one at the same, and then I can adjust. I find it funny that her tail can go through the wall there. Hey Samson, yeah, it's starting to come together a little bit. Got a little bit of walls going on. It's gonna be one of those, it's just gonna be a layer at a time, you know. First you start with the blueprint, then you go with the floor, and then right now it's just the walls. A lot of tweaking here and there because the copy paste doesn't do it exactly like I'd like. How are you doing today? There Ah, that sounds good if you got some time to work on your moon base. As I said yesterday when I went to have a peek, I think it's looking great so far. I mean, what I saw of it. Um, I did my little bit with the subway station. I don't think I want to try and touch a moon base or um, like a spaceship or something. I've seen several nice ones of those, and how they figure out where they're supposed to put everything and what to make it look like. Okay, if I look at it, then I kind of get, hey, this must be the engine room, or this is that kind of room. Or I don't have that uh, kind of imagination. And I don't do good with landscaping either. There's a lot of builders I know that are really good at making everything look natural with like the rocks and the trees and the grasses and just the choices that they make and the plants that they use. I'm horrible at that. No wonder I stick with building because I suck at it so much. But okay, I need some more woods. Floor. Exile. But yeah, I had some guildmates say that they were kind of discouraged from building because they keep looking at everybody else's places and they think, wow, that's just so impressive. I'll never be able to do anything like that. And while I sometimes get the same feeling, you really can't look at it like that. Play to your own strengths. If you have a knack for making water effects, then go wild with it and keep that as your focus. If you're really good at mechanical stuff, go for that, because everybody has their weak points, and it's like the one of them that has real good talent on doing the landscaping. He claims he's not very good at doing like these kind of structures. Of course, he's finally gotten down to building one with both the landscaping and the custom built house. And I think it looks great, but he feels less confident about those, the house part. So, everybody has their little bits that they don't like about how they're building. So you can't let how someone else is doing it really affect your choice on participating, because you never know until you give it a try. Yeah, that's true. Like I said earlier with my original thought, I was wanting to use just wooden 2x4s for the entire building. But I got to using my calculator last night. I was thinking about, okay, if I make it X number of boards high and it's X number of boards wide, and I've got this many walls, and it just come up to like, I don't know, just a section of it was like over 300 boards. And I was like, no, that's not going to be the way to go, because that leaves me very little use as far as decorating it up. And I really didn't want to limit myself in that way. So yeah, you just kind of have to make concessions when it comes to that kind of thing. Yeah, adding in details is tricky, especially, well, for me with like in the subway, when it came to the control room and the maintenance room, I really was kind of at a loss as to what to use. Did I really need to put in every little blinky thing that I had, or did I overdo it? Is it just kind of disorganized? It doesn't look like it has any kind of sensible reason why it's there. For a general, like just a personal residence, that's a little easier, I think, because everybody knows you've got a kitchen, a bathroom, you got the bedroom, maybe a study. You can kind of come up with things. But when it's something a little more unusual than that, I think it's tougher coming up with things. But that's why I offered, if you ever want to, have a brainstorm session, if you're looking for something to fill a particular room, or you want to come up with ideas of things that you might find on a supposed moon base, that I would be available to help with that, because I don't want to say I have a knack for it, but I do really good at coming up with ideas. It's just pulling the ideas off that, you know, is the tough part. I can throw out lots of ideas, but me making them a reality is something else entirely. It's like I had someone that I knew that put together a carnival, and he was having trouble coming up with different things. He didn't want just rides, he wanted other things, and I helped him come up with things like the fortune teller booth and stuff like that. And sometimes it's just good to bounce ideas off of people. Okay. Yeah, that's what a lot of people have trouble with. And I think too, sometimes that has to do with the scale that they build in. Like here, it looks kind of small, I mean, in comparison to the whole plot. I've come on people's home plots that have like this huge building, and it's supposed to be, you know, like maybe somebody's castle. And while that might have more rooms and utility than the house that I'm building, they have it so huge that when they start putting in the decor and it's scaled to their character size, the rooms look really empty because they've just made it way bigger than it really is necessary. And so yeah, that can be kind of tricky. Other people, like when they do a city build or something, they make up for that by just putting in a lot of faux buildings, you know, and faux doors. Like if you have a lot of hallways of something and you don't know what to put there, just put a lot of fake doors, and it makes it look like it's going into other things, but you know, you actually don't have access to it. Yeah, well, it's important to get the base structure down pat and be happy with how it is before you really go into decorating. But you want to have an idea of kind of what each room's use is, so you can kind of know in advance. You know, you don't want to leave it up to just the whim. You don't want to say, okay, there's this big room and I'm going to split it off into 2 floors, and on each floor there's going to be 8 separate little cubicles or something. Then you're forced to say, okay, each one has to have a different purpose. So what's this one going to be and what's that one going to be? Just have in your head, okay, on floor 1 we're going to have like a cafeteria, a bathroom, and an elevator. And on floor 2 we'll have this, and then divvy it up in that way so you don't go too far in your splitting of the floors. Yeah, that's why when I first started on this, I started with the door, and I knew I wanted it to be a double wide, so I decided, okay, what's a single wide version? And this right here was about right, because I put up 2 panels side by side and made sure that I could go through it if I wanted to, and it was possible. So I tried to scale it as best I could to that way. It still may end up being fairly big. I hope not. It looks pretty sensible, this being the ceiling mark and this being where the bottom of the windows come. She's still looking out of it. It doesn't look like she's a little kid looking over the top, and it's not too low on the bottom. So I'm hoping I've got the scale pretty good. But yeah, a lot of people, when they find out they've made a room way too large, they end up oversizing their furniture just to fill it up, and then it feels awkward. Granted, the larger races like Mordash and Granok can kind of get away with that a little bit, but I've come across a few homes for even them it looks really oversized and long. Yeah, that's just something you always gotta keep that in mind when you're building something from scratch. I've also found some that build it way too small in places, and your character will end up getting stuck when you try to go through a certain area or something. And they've got the hallway too narrow, or they make the hallway just right, but then they forget that when they add decor that is hanging on the hallway, that narrows it further. and they don't account for that. And so when they hang up pictures and stuff, there's a tendency where your character kind of bounces through the hall trying to get through, and you have to take that into account when you're going to be decorating. Yeah, there's a lot of little things you gotta watch out for. That's why, like, if I build a stairway from scratch, I want it so that if I'm walking my character, that she can go up it smoothly without having to jump or anything. There's a lot of people that have their stairways that's a little off in spacing, and that can make it kind of awkward. Oops. I think I turned that a little bit. Hopefully not. No, we're good. But yeah, the camera angles, a lot of people, for me, I tend to play with mine fully zoomed out. My husband is opposite. His is usually like this. And I think that's how you start out, with it kind of close. And I can't stand that. It feels weird. I want to see as much of the area as possible. So that's why I'm constantly in and out, just zooming around, probably making my viewers sick, but for me, that's the best way for me. I like to zoom in and make sure I get, you know, lined up like I want, and then I'll zoom it out and make sure it looks okay. I have no idea how other people do it though. I can only show how I do it. Okay, one more piece here. Yes. I think that's about right. Okay, there we have almost 2 full walls. We got one and then most of the other. Okay, so here it looks like it's just a solid wall, so you'll be able to get away with using fairly big piece again. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use it all the way to the end here, and then I'll fill in this part with the small ones. That looks a little off on the floor in there, but I think that's because this one is lower. Left it. Oh, if you're talking about the one at your plot, yeah, it works pretty good. I kept falling off of it, but that wasn't anything to do with the way you had it, other than it doesn't have any railing. So I was running up it. That was part of the problem. You walk up it, it's a lot better. But I kept running, and I'd get a little too fast and not turn fast enough, and I just kept falling off. But yeah, yours seem to be okay. I know some, when they do the spiral staircase, sometimes the gap between each step is a little too wide and you fall right through. So you have to be careful about that. That's why a lot of the homemade spiral staircases have like so many, because they want to fill in all of those gaps. But I liked the choice of the stairs itself. I thought that was a nice touch, using the grading rather than something else. Because in a space station or moon base, you're thinking a lot of metal. So the metal grading fits in nicely. Okay, so 47. Let's make sure that one's the same. hopefully this is, looks like we're not in luck there. Unfortunate, but that's, always a risk. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push this in. Now I have the decision of either just enlarging this slightly just to make it so that it's wide enough, or just using 2 big walls. And I think I'll just use 2 big. I think that'll be easier on me. Whoops. I think I copied it again instead of pasting. I do that a lot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just slide this over. I'm going to get this just one under. I don't want it to be. I'll take this slightly narrower part here, and then on this side it'll be the opposite. I can get everything there. So yeah, that's okay. It's more than likely, especially here, because this is supposed to be where the shower is, I will probably be overlaying this with more of the tile. That's another thing. If you're using making your own walls, if you want the interior wall to be different than the exterior, that means you have to double up on the layer. Same with the kitchen. If I wanted to add different kinds of walling for that, like say where the stove is, putting like some little kitchen tile, that would have to be another wall because don't have double-sided. That would be cool though if they had like a double-sided wall, like on one side it's one texture and on the other side it's something else. That would be kind of nifty with that, but they don't, so we have to make do. Let's see. I'm just looking at the pattern down here. And we know we've got a window here. Let me get back up there again. So it looks like a small one here. So it looks like small ones that work around this corner here. And then basically mirroring everything onto the other side. So, more floors. Lots and lots of floors.